The Hosh curriculum is becoming clear. I saw something spectacular on social media yesterday. I don't know if you saw the same thing. I saw several narratives being formulated to discredit and to demonize General Mkhwanazi. The Hosh panic is kicking in. Welcome to another episode of The Dissection. I want us to talk about these social media and mainstream media stories because I think it matters, and the fact that they all popped up on the same day suggests to me that this is a coordinated fight back campaign. In and of itself, the fact that they showed up on the same day is grounds for skepticism, cynicism, and dissection. You know, Bob Marley spoke about social media in South Africa. I don't know if you remember that Bob Marley song, so I'm not going to sing the Bob Marley lyrics, but this is what he said. I remember when we used to go on Twitter, observing the hypocrites as they mingle with the good people who post. Hey, remember that Bob Marley song? No Mzansi, no cry. No Mzansi, no cry. Bob Marley was onto something, because how can you have these different stories just popping up all of a sudden? The dockets have gone back to the political killings task team. Then all of a sudden, all of these stories start showing up. On a serious note, so far, this is what we've seen coming from mainstream media. These have been the lines of criticism. Number one, the political killings task team is a law unto itself. Number two, the task team has been abusing funds. And the term that is often used in reference to this is that they are using a slush fund. No justification whatsoever. No indication that they bought a BMW, they took a trip to New York, or that they were in France, or they booked a VIP hotel room somewhere during the World Cup. Nothing like that. Then the other criticism is that the dockets are not safe. The commission must do its work. Somehow the dockets being in the hands of the task team that compiled the dockets that was investigating these particular allegations, somehow the very fact that those people are continuing with their work, which was interrupted as a result of accused people messaging politicians saying we're being harassed, now that work is continuing, all of a sudden the dockets are somehow preventing the commission from doing its work. A commission that hasn't even told us when it's going to start, by the way. So that's what has been happening on mainstream media. I mean, even on the 6th of July, when Mkhwanazi made the announcement, we saw Paul O'Sullivan come out and say Mkhwanazi was a criminal, Masemola was a criminal. Even on that very first day, he could not back up what he was claiming. He was just using the appeal to Mlungu authority. I'm a Mlungu, listen to me, I told you this guy is not legit, therefore, trust me, believe me, trust me vibes. Just no sources, no references. Do you remember how that went down? Here's a clip of O'Sullivan on the first day, 6th of July. Just a reminder before we talk about all of the attacks that came out yesterday.
Both Mkhwanazi and Masemola joined a police supplier on an overseas trip, and the pair of them came back with, Louis Vuitton. It's a very expensive ladies' handbag. And the pair of them came back with a gift from the police supplier, being a Louis Vuitton handbag. And from what I can gather, neither of them disclosed at customs the fact that they had in their possession a gift worth somewhere between 70 and 100,000 rand each. And then what did they do? They probably gave these bags to their wives. And he makes a lot of allegations in that press conference. And although he only made those allegations at midday today, I've had an opportunity to go through them. And some of them, the ones that I have been able to go through and ascertain, I'm satisfied that they're false allegations.
Back, you said that even though it's been a few short hours, you managed to go back and look at some of what Mkhwanazi presented to the public today, and you have established that some of those are false allegations. Just enumerate for us, Paul, which ones you say, even just with a quick investigation, do not stand up to scrutiny.
Well, there's a number of them, and I don't think I want to go into them. And the reason why I don't want to go into them is because Mkhwanazi has acted unlawfully.
And where's Paul O'Sullivan now? I mean, we haven't seen him in weeks. No, in months, actually. He was doing more interviews than a musician promoting an album. I saw Paul O'Sullivan more than I saw Tyler. And now he's vanished. We miss you, Manelo. Where are you? Where are you, Paul O'Sullivan? Just think about all of these allegations that have been made against General Mkhwanazi. No evidence was provided. No claims were disproved. It was pure ad hominem from the very first day. And ad hominem is a fallacy known as attacking the person. That's Latin. Ad hominem, attacking the person. It's just an attempt to discredit somebody and not necessarily the arguments that they're making. All of these narratives have been repeated ad nauseum. You know, there's a famous quote about propaganda, which is attributed to the Nazi leader Goebbels, the one who was pushing the Nazi propaganda. And the quote is, if you repeat a lie often enough, people will believe it. That seems to be the game plan. That seems to be the game plan. But these people don't know that. We listen to Bob Marley out here in Africa. And Bob Marley said, don't let them fool you. Don't let them school you. You got a mind of your own. So let's use our mind. Let's look at what came up yesterday. Yesterday, in addition to everything that we've seen so far coming from mainstream, we all of a sudden saw Kenny Kunene. Kenny Kunene, the same, the one and only. Hey, Sushi Kenny. Sushi Kenny. So Kenny Kunene came out and published a story that a relative of Katiso Molefe was kidnapped by the political killings task team. Then Daily Maverick published another story saying that General Mkhwanazi was not a top cop. The Kenny Kunene story made very extreme claims of torture, kidnapping, abuse of the niece of Katiso Molefe. They claimed that there was a medical report, there was a police case opened around the activities of the political killings task team as it pertains to the niece of Katiso Molefe. However, and they even had a person narrating that story on video, but what they weren't looking at the screen like I am. No face, no case, right? So they weren't doing that. What they were doing is that they were speaking away from the camera and you just had to listen to them and trust me, bro, that was basically it. So if you think about this, off camera, no documentary, no real evidence was presented. If you look at some of the stuff that has been happening in investigative journalism around the world, the fish rod scandal, if you look at the Panama Papers, journalists have to adduce evidence. Sometimes you have to redact certain things, but you have to show the public that you have the evidence to corroborate the claims that you're making. No such evidence was presented. I do think we should examine every story for probity, for cogency. We must do that. Even if it comes from Kenny Kunene himself, even if it comes from the Sushi King. However, in as much as we must do that, we must not ignore facts about the messenger and possible conflicts of interest, because Kenny Kunene is not, his hands are not clean in this. He was found on the premises of Katiso Molefe on the day of his arrest. And you know what's interesting? On the days of these arrests, we found that one Pegicele was calling one of the people. He was calling Vusimuzi Matlala on the day of the arrest, 10 missed calls that he made. Then we found also that there were also calls that were being made to Katiso Molefe. These things are worrying. Now, on the other day of the arrest, when they arrested Katiso Molefe the first time, Malcolm X was there. He tried to call the Hawks. He tried to get Lebiya involved. And now, Kenny Kunene, on the other day of the arrest, he's found at the compound. He says, I was accompanying a journalist. He says, the cops checked my phone, etc., etc. But that in and of itself leads to a serious question mark, because he was promising us an exclusive story, an interview with Katiso Molefe, never gave us that interview, never even gave us the write-up, never even took photos of the explosive arrest. Imagine, there you are with the journalist fully equipped, ready to record videos, etc., etc. The cops barge in on the interview at the gate. You are in the yard. You roll those cameras. We've seen CNN journalists in war grounds. We've seen Al Jazeera journalists. We've seen how journalists move when they bump into an explosive story. Kenny Kunene did none of those things. None of those things. They cable tied that man. He was on the floor allegedly. Anyway, we have to keep that in mind. And we have to remember Katiso Molefe is alleged that he's a paymaster for various hits which have led to the death of nightclub owners, DJs, attempted murders of taxi bosses. This is not somebody who is a joke person, right? And the allegations against him are pretty serious. So for you to be in his house, in his crib, chilling, what are you doing there? Still don't have an answer. Kenny Kunene needs to go to Sakina there and explain himself in more detail. right? He said he was there to do the exclusive story. That whole publication of his, the Africa News Global platform, has published like 6 stories since it came into existence. Just that number. How do we take you seriously? You don't even do this full time. You don't even do this part time. You do this on occasion, on the occasion that your friend needs help. You know, when you do news literacy, source analysis, these are the type of things which become clear indicators that this is not a credible news source. This story, I right now am not counting it as a legit story. Then you have to consider that the Molefe family itself is a conflicted entity. Right now, Nhlanhla Molefe is at large and is a wanted man in connection with the murder of Aman Swat. Aman Swat is the man who got killed. He was shot 23 times because he uncovered corruption. Not him, but it was a case of mistaken identity. They got him. They didn't actually get the whistleblower. So this Nhlanhla Molefe is a relative of Katiso Molefe. He got a job at Transnet. His father then won a tender under mysterious circumstances where they were overcharging, pure Hosh curry behavior. Now, Aman Swat gets shot 23 times with an AK-47, the same AK-47 which has been implicated in a lot of these murders. He's disappeared. Katiso Molefe has a Lesotho passport, right? And he was said to be moving across SADC. So his son could literally be anywhere right now. It could be Eswatini, it could be in Lesotho, it could be in Mozambique. We don't know. So right now, the niece of Katiso Molefe then comes forward and says, yeah, listen, these guys kidnapped me. They abused me. This is what happened. This is what happened. They were looking for Nhlanhla. I don't know where Nhlanhla is. I would have taken her more seriously if she had told Kenny Kunene, this is where Nhlanhla is. I don't believe her that Nhlanhla hasn't contacted her. I mean, in every movie on earth where a criminal is a fugitive from the law, they contact their relatives. They use a burner or something. You mean to tell me Nhlanhla hasn't called you ever since the whole December, since actually last year in April, because he's been a fugitive since last year in April? I don't believe you. I would have believed it if she said, here's where Nhlanhla is actually. He last contacted me this time. Show us that you are really doing this in the interest of justice and not in an attempt to smear this man's name, General Mkhwanazi's name. The whole problem with all of these attacks is that there is no substantive and independently corroborated evidence that has been presented. I mean, at this point, they're even saying, is he a top cop? Is he a top cop? I mean, it's hilarious. It's ludicrous. How can someone be annoyed that Mkhwanazi is being called a top cop? Really? Is this what we're doing in 2025? Is this the propaganda that you guys came up with? You sat in a meeting and you were like, yeah, no, the article we need to write. Yeah, you write. Why is he being called a top cop? It's about his seniority. We're even calling Sibia a top cop. We don't even think he's a top cop. It's about seniority and not necessarily his excellence. But he is actually a top cop. He was leading the special team there. He got the uniform. He got accolades. Come on, guys. That man is a top cop. If ever there was a top cop, it's him. Top cop who's arresting serious criminals here. We've seen now the killers of Sandiso Makaka in jail. The killers of the DA councillor in jail. We've seen Katiso Molefe in jail. Vusi Muzimatlala in jail. What you mean he's not a top cop? What you mean? What you mean by that? What's going on here? Look, it's clear someone is annoyed that this man, General Mkhwanazi, has captivated the public imagination and he's well-loved. They're annoyed. It's irritating them. They're like, why is he being called a top cop? It was me. I'm the one who helped them with AKA. I'm the one. Do you remember who said that? None other than Sibia. He was so angry that people were like, no, AKA. He's like, it was me. I'm the one. I'm the one who did that thing. Chief, you failed to help in the Senzo Meyiwa case. In fact, people are saying you messed it up. You need to explain yourself. Listen, there's even a narrative that Mkhwanazi is not popular in KZN. It's bogus. It's bogus. I've heard grandmothers in KZN speak lovingly about this man, share details about the allegations and the work he's doing. You won't make it. You won't make it with this type of criticism. Let's talk about manufacturing consent. There's a book which was written by Noam Chomsky and Edward S. Herman. Manufacturing consent. This is a very difficult book to get in South Africa because they don't actually want you to understand how the game works. But try by all means necessary to get this book. The government and the media often work together to set the agenda for discourse and to set the main arguments for the public to consider and believe. They try to manufacture public opinion in a way that suits their interests and their ends. And this is typically done through the government feeding information to the mainstream media and through government officials appearing on those platforms to give them credibility. The mainstream media also focuses on narratives that suit its advertisers' customer base, which is to say they focus on the interests of suburbia over the interests of everybody else. They focus on the interests of the elite owners, the interests of the elites, the interests of the middle class. And this is why some of the issues which affect townships, rural areas are not discussed in the manner that they should be discussed, which is why we don't have an understanding right now who Brown Mkhwanazi is, what his relationship is with Morgan, what's his name, Maumela, and all of these characters who seem to be interconnected, which is why we still haven't had an expose of Benjani Chauke. All of these people, by the way, may be directly implicated in everything that's playing out here and are the sources of the panic, because Benjani Chauke and Morgan Maumela live in the same estate. They are buddies like this. The other one is a fixer for a president. The other one is the relative of the president. There have been denials that these people are involved in any mshika. But ask yourself, first, Kusela Diko gets implicated indirectly through her husband in the PPE scandal, which was worth hundreds of millions. Lots of crisis happens there in Gauteng Health. Then you hear about Tembisa Hospital. Now we're hearing about Transnet. Now we're hearing about the killings of DJs, etc., etc. Same characters, same cabal, same hush, Hosh curry community. Same Hosh curry community. You mean to tell me that this is... Ay. Let's talk about the possible motives for this fight back. Let's talk about the possible motives. It's my view that the return of the dockets is creating anxiety in the Hosh carry behavior community. There's panic on the mountain. And everyone is running. I'm just switching the lyrics of that song, The Fire on the Mountain. This time there's panic on the mountain. For those who are watching for the first time or haven't really got an understanding, let me explain Hosh carry behavior and the source of this just quickly so that you know. I won't explain it again. Some of you already know. There's a phenomenon in South Africa where the men who are implicated in these acts of corruption have yellow bones with yellow thighs. People used to always post on social media how blessed they were, only to find out that they are blessed by blessers of a particular kind. And they're known as Hosh carry mamas. Then the men that they're with are the Hosh carry fathers. And now it's very clear the Hosh carry fathers can feel the heat in the kitchen. The circle is closing in on them. Mkhwanazi is coming. The general's coming. The general's coming for you. Can do nothing for you. The general's coming for you. And because of this, they're now playing a propaganda game in the hopes that they can turn the public against the general. It's so obvious. So the creativity is dollar, it's zero. And what's perturbing is that the mainstream media is participating in this Hosh carry propaganda. I mean, whose interests are you guys trying to protect? And, I want to conclude by saying that we must keep in mind at all material times that billions have been looted from the Gauteng Health Department. Billions have been looted from Tembisa Hospital. It's one of the feeding trough of these Hosh carry dons who are stealing from the public healthcare system. But apparently even in Limpopo, there's been issues. We must remember that as a result of the looting of the healthcare system, people have been dying. People have lost their lives because of lack of resources, lack of manpower. Every year we hear junior doctors coming out saying that they're sitting at home unemployed while the hospitals are overcrowded. Think about that. People are dying. There's a shortage of doctors. There's always a discussion that there's no money. The money is in Hosh carry fathers' pockets. People are buying mansions. Hyde Park, Cape Town, where? Mansions are showing up on top billing. One of these guys who's called the Don, apparently his mansion was on top billing there. That Maumela character. Think about that. These are the realities. People are dying in hospitals. And then, on top of that, people are being shot violently and being killed for trying to let the public know what's happening. We mustn't forget that whistleblowers have been assassinated by the people who want to keep these stories under wraps. People have been shot with AK-47s, riddled with bullets. Bullets sprayed into cars at gates outside of nightclubs to silence these people, to deal with political opponents. All of these things seem interconnected. So it's not going to be enough just to simply come onto, social media with uncorroborated fabrications, criticisms and skepticisms about why is General Mkhwanazi being called a top cop. So it's insufficient. I don't know about you, but the people who are trying to catch the looters, the people who are trying to catch the murderers, the people who are risking their lives by going and holding press conferences and telling people, this top cop, this minister, those are not the villains in the story. Media, you've done a poor job so far. I'm disappointed, actually. The people who are trying to catch the murderers are not the villains. I actually pray for them to succeed. To whopper everyone involved. Bopingane bopa. Bopa bonke. Bopa, bopa, bopa. It's time that scripture comes to truth. What's done in the dark must come into the light. These Hosh curry fathers, whatever thighs you were touching in the dark, whatever promises you were making to these Hosh curry mamas, time's up. Or time should be up. I hope that they get you, to be quite honest. You've done so much damage. I don't know what you guys think. Did you see those narratives? Did you buy into it? Let's talk in the comments. I'll meet you there.